It's my dark philosophy that there's more to life than we like to admit, and in the dead of night when we lie awake and ponder our lives, we often wonder who is right. Where did we come from? Where do we go? There's so much to the universe that we don't know, so we just explore all the dark corners, seeking out more than what the surface lays on. The dark philosophy so filled with light, it makes you believe that everything will be alright. So join me now on this darkened road, and we can bear witness as history unfolds. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Dark Philosophy, episode 10. Joining us tonight are the usuals, me and my brother Jeremy, you know. And then our awesome guest down here is Elagabalus. Most of you will know Elagabalus from the scripts on Monday and Thursday nights that we've been doing on Comics Division's channel. They are fantastic. They are funny. And I love watching those guys squirm. Try to read those. So it's a great time. Welcome, welcome. First of all, Jeremy, how you doing tonight, bro?
I'm doing well, thank you. Ate a big old dinner and it's hot as hell and I'm ready to go.
I feel that. All right. So how you doing tonight, Elagabalus?
Hot as hell down here as well.
I think everybody's feeling that a little bit.
I think I'm fortunate. It's only been about 90 the past month. Elsewhere, it's been a lot higher.
Oh, yeah. Out here, we've had 105-degree temperatures on days, and I'm like, oh, so this is Colorado. We're not supposed to feel like that, right?
Well, I guess that's because you're 1,500 miles from a coast, too.
This is true. And we are so dry out here. Like, we need some good rainstorms, and we have not had them, honestly. Not had them at all.
I've been wishing for a drought for the last 15 years. That's how much it rains. But anyway, thanks for inviting me.
Hell yeah. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's good to see you back in the community, back in the chat, and
thank you.
Swinging full force with those scripts and everything, and it's fantastic.
Thanks a lot.
So last week, we announced that this was the second to last episode of Dark Philosophy for the season. And, of course, the topic was chosen by the viewers' votes segment last week, and we will get to that in a minute. So the guest is not actually choosing tonight. We are forcing it upon him. Feel free to cry grape all you want, sir. No one hears you screaming because no one's really watching. Hey-oh! Just kidding. All the people that are watching are somebodies, and they're awesome. As a matter of fact, let's check out the chat. Hail to Elagabalus. Hey, I'm not an anthropologist. Hail. All right. That's okay. We'll leave that to somebody else of a shorter stature. Hail, Bush McFadden. It's good to see you here. Greetings, Vince Womack. Greetings and salutations. Hail, JT Gunn. He's got a show on here in a little bit. Make sure you go check that out. He has some great topics and conversations himself. And hail Small Time Republic. And hail Superman if he wasn't scared of green rocks. So no green rocks. So these two here, fantastic guests previously. This man was on Talking with Talks a lot. These guys, go check out those videos. Those are good. Hail Sean Landrigan. He says, hail Corey, Germ, Elagabalus, and chat. Yes, sir. Hail, hail. Let's see who else we got in here. This lady. Hail, Lasso of Truth. It's great to see you here. I'm glad you could make it for our discussion on the topic chosen by the chat last week. Existence. I'm going to go ahead and play that video just to set the mood. It's a strange thing, our existence. Is it a simulation? Is it a result of random outcomes? Was it created by a benevolent being? Or are we all just figments of our pets' minds? And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for the evening is the concepts of existence. The many theories that we all have heard over the years about what our existence actually is. So tonight, I want to focus on what our favorite theories of existence are and which ones we're most likely to subscribe to. So it should be a good time, but real quick, we're going to say hail to Omega Star Productions. Good to see you here. Hail to Tiny Metal Trees.
Jesus.
Glad to see you here as well. So, Jeremy, what would you say was the most entertaining theory of existence you've heard so far? Simulations.
I think the simulation one is pretty good. I didn't really hear anything about that until after The Matrix came out, which I thought
I
was
know.
ironic.
Weird, right? What about like alternate realities and shit? What's your favorite?
There's a dimension of me that's a billionaire. That sounds pretty good.
Oh, that's cool. Existence where you're everything all at once. That's cool. Nice. That's fun. Thank you for illuminating us on your wonderful views, Jeremy. So, Elagabalus, how many of these theories have you heard about how existence came to be?
Well, there's, well, of course, there's the biblical 6 days.
Right.
Then there's the Big Bang theory. Then there's the Matrix. And those are the ones I'm most familiar with.
Okay, so the typical big three.
Yeah.
For modern society, the typical big three.
Right.
Of course, you know, the Big Bang Theory on the I don't believe in a God side of things most of the time. And then there's the God thing on the I believe in God side of things. And then, of course, there's the simulation on the side of I haven't seen enough evidence to prove that that's not true.
We're all just a bunch of batteries plugged into a tank, man.
I feel it sometimes. I'm so drained sometimes that I'm like, oh, shit. But, so which one would you say is your favorite which theory would you say was most entertaining for you to learn about that you've heard of?
Oh, the most entertaining is
Yeah.
the simulation has to be.
Yeah.
That's that, and that could be that can be designed. That could be. I guess the idea of the simulation, it has to be designed by somebody for
Right.
some reason, for some purpose. Whether we are in one, we don't know, and for what purpose, we don't know either.
Right. What do you think of some of the evidence that people have tried to present? And now evidence, I'm going to culture air quote the shit out of evidence. Have you seen that might support the simulation theory?
I have seen no evidence to support it. I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and
Right.
I've watched astronomers and physicists talk about it. But the simulation, at least in the world of physics, I think is still pretty. People smile when they mention it.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good joke. Because especially in today's society, you can't trust any video evidence that you get about glitches in the Matrix and stuff like that, because we're in a community of people who could do that with their eyes closed on a video editor. So there's that. But if
did you guys ever see Ready Player One? What if it were
Yes.
something like that, where you're an avatar,
where I'm an
and
avatar?
everything emotionally that you're feeling or thinking is the other person, is the actual dude controlling you? What about that?
Well, the ones and zeros that make me up are gorgeous. And that's all I have to say, ladies and gentlemen. First off, hail Toxic Man Flu. Good to see you here tonight, sir. Glad to see you. And hail to Bush McFadden. Again, just because.
Do either of you remember that Jet Li movie called The One?
The One, yes. The multiple universe existence. Okay, let's talk about multiple universes for a second. Elagabalus, do you think that they're possible?
Theoretically, they're possible.
Okay.
I know physicists for the past 50 years have been trying to use string theory as the unification of everything.
It's not working out, by the way.
It is not working out, although I do understand that string theory, has helped mathematicians solve a lot of theoretical formulas. That it has its use. It has its I guess basic and applied functions. But in terms of unifying, I think it's dead.
That's fair. It's definitely not a unifying thing.
No, I don't.
Are you
Yeah.
are you familiar with any of the other theories? Like, have you ever heard of M theory?
What is that?
Okay,
I've heard of it, but
I'm gonna
refresh
have to
my
look
memory.
this one back up again because the M theory is a theory of physics that unifies all consistent versions of superstring theory. So it's an off branch of string theory that attempted to unify all of the versions of string theory back in 1995. And it looks like, we'll say, a certain gold star that was popular in Germany in the 1940s,
Oh, that's
30s.
great.
But it's interesting because they literally just tried to like piecemeal together the theory of everything, and it doesn't really work. M theory, yes, membrane theory. Thank you, tiny metal trees. See, that's what the M stands for. But when it comes to alternate realities and stuff, especially if they're parallel universes, like the popular trope right now is multiverse. I'm sure a lot of people are starting to be brain mushed into thinking that's a thing. I am not of the mind that there is a multiverse. But the idea is highly intriguing. So let's just hypothetically state that the multiverse theory, the string theories of parallel universes and alternate us's in every form that could possibly imagine, not the 8 universes that were traditionally thought of, but the infinite that could possibly exist. Do you think we as human beings could actually discover and understand that in any way if it actually existed? Either of you?
Let your brother go first.
Repeat the question.
Do you think that human beings could understand and figure out the multiverse if it actually existed?
I don't know. I would imagine it'd be something to probably make your head explode, like quite literally. That's just me. I don't know. I can't see a human mind being able to fathom something like that, considering we
Right.
only use what 10% of our brains.
That's actually that's completely inaccurate.
Oh, then what is the accurate fact on that?
The accurate fact on that is that we have anywhere from 60 to 70% of our brains active at any one time, depending on emotional state, thought processes, complexity of tasks that you're undertaking,
How much acid you dropped?
and how much acid you drop. That is a very important factor, ladies and gentlemen, because if you drop too much and you Jimi Hendrix it, then damn it, don't go lick a guitar, go to the doctor. Just saying.
Well, I was really happy thinking we were just using 10. I thought we had so much potential to utilize that.
Right.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Well, see, the other 40% is often just underutilized and not trained correctly because we have a lot of gray matter in our brains that can be trained from new neural pathways. And we just don't undertake complex enough tasks to program those on a regular basis. And by us, I mean normies, people who aren't out there like trying to actually solve the mathematical mysteries of the universe or like get us to Mars or etc., etc. Like normal people don't operate on that level. That's why we're normal, you know. But do you think that human beings could actually grasp that?
Well, I've been trying to understand the concept of the Holy Trinity for the past 56 years. God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, separate but equal.
Right.
And that's I can't understand it. I can describe it. I can't understand it. So trying
Right.
to imagine 11 dimensions, which result in an infinite number of parallel universes where, say, toxic man flu is nice. I can't even imagine.
I agree.
Such a dick, Flu.
Okay,
God.
so
I mean, can you imagine like a billion iterations of tox nice?
dude, right, yeah, right. Uh-huh. Yeah, not even one that exists. But Boosh McFadden here says, Sir Toxalot, if I may, the real statistic is most people only use 10% of their mental potential. That I would believe. A lot of people waste their potential all over the place because it takes effort. And we live in a very lazy ass world. Hail, Jacob Ironside. Glad to see you here. Toxic Man Flu uses 100% of his mental potential. That I also agree with, ladies and gentlemen. If he tries to push himself any harder, he's going to need his wife to slap him with meat just to wake him up.
But again, trying to imagine a world, a universe where comics is 6'5".
Right? Or like a world where things
If
just
comics was
stayed
6'5",
the
I'd be
same
next Gary
from
Coleman.
like the 80s and the 90s as far as entertainment. Like that would that's the universe I want to live in. I don't give a shit about the rest. Give me a parallel universe with good entertainment. I'm okay with that.
Yes. I don't know if we have the capability to ever fully understand multi-dimensional worlds. I have a feeling we would rely a lot on artificial intelligence in the sense of creating a lot of the trillions and trillions of algorithms to help us understand, perhaps have better graphs, maybe, but understanding, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, hail Christian Delorme. Like number 10 here. Good to see you. I'm doing good, man. That's that sweet ass ride in that picture. But I'm good, bro. I'm good. Chilling with the homies, talking about existence, theories thereof, and the believability of those theories. So we've pretty much figured out that simulation's probably bullshit. And multiverse is probably just too complicated for us to understand, even if it does exist. Now, there's a lot of things that go along with the multiverse that we could talk about, such as splitting in timelines, divergent paths that timelines could have taken based on choices and actions made by individuals. Do you believe that human beings have that level of influence to where they could technically just create an alternate timeline in like one moment in time could actually have that much impact?
Wouldn't that be along the same lines as like the butterfly effect?
Similar, yes, but in this case, we're living in what most people are calling the darkest timeline. When in another timeline, Hitler won. And I'm like, that's pretty fucking dark.
Yeah, that's probably the darkest timeline.
Well, I'm just saying, what are your thoughts on divergent timeline theories? Do you think those people need to hand back in their PhDs, maybe?
Can you do that?
I'd like some of them to.
Well, let's go for it. Because these experts are not experts, man.
Well, I mean, I always, I don't mean to get too dark, but
Go for it.
I mean, I it's fun to think about counterfactual history. What if the Fuhrer won World War II? Well, as far as I can see, that was impossible. The makeup of the individual, the makeup of the biases, the individual prejudices, not to mention a corrupt one-party state trying to emerge out of a recession, a Great Depression. Germany had a population of 80 million against a coalition of over 700 million. That's not going to happen. He's not going to. That's so. I think of it more in terms of what about my own personal decisions? How might that have affected my future?
Well, yeah, everybody has what ifs in retrospect.
Oh yeah,
lives, for sure.
Hindsight's 20/20, as they say.
But I don't know if. I don't know to what degree those decisions would have made my life any more different than it is today.
I agree, actually. And I think that the multiple timeline theories are a way of feeding certain people's fantasy worlds that they would like to live in. It's a dark comfort blanket, if you will, for a lot of these people. Sure, it's given us some fantastic media back in the day, but sorry. I'm trying to star people so I don't miss them so I can say hi to them later.
Me too.
But I think that a lot of the multiple timeline theories are literally just a way of people writing out fiction that might suit a current narrative in some way. Like, well, if this had happened, it's like, well, it didn't. Because philosophy has taught us over the years that the past, whether it be a day or a century, is an unachievable destination. You can never affect it ever again. So it should only bear weight in the lessons that it taught us and not weigh us down like an anchor. The same can be said for the future. It's as achievable as yesterday. So you shouldn't put too much stock in it, other than keeping hope. And I think a lot of people who are misguided decided to come up with multiple timeline theories so that they could play out their own dark fantasies in a lot of ways. And sorry,
or just hope that. Oh, go ahead.
Boosh McFadden says time travel is real. We're doing it now. Yes, 1 second at a time. Indeed. What were you going to say now?
I forgot.
I apologize.
It's okay.
I have the ability to derail any thought by getting distracted myself. So hail El Crudo. He says only considered when time travel is observed. Interesting. Playing on some can't observe a particle and know its speed at the same time. Heron of Alexandria, 67 million at that time. Yes, indeed. Hail, Heron of Alexandria. It's good to see you here. So let's talk about the more popular theories of existence, shall we? Let's start with the Big Bang. Have archaeologists... I'm sorry, what, Jeremy?
No, I said ancient aliens.
Ancient aliens. We can talk about that. We still got plenty of time. But have archaeologists found any evidence that would support the actual Big Bang theory, or
well, it's
like evolution to where it would be an actual provable theory instead of a hypothesis? Because, by the way, it's not a theory.
Yeah. It's my, again, I'll pull a comics. I'm not a physicist.
That's fair.
I study history, but it's my understanding that scientists have an idea, at least I think 300,000 light years after the Big Bang, or maybe it's 300,000 years afterwards. I forget, and that makes a hell of a difference. But there is the idea that I guess through cosmic X-rays and a whole lot of other shit I don't understand. There's an idea, and there seems to be a consensus growing in the scientific community that 5% of the universe is observable, and that something like 25% is comprised of something called dark matter, and the remaining 70% is dark energy. Now you try and understand that. I can't.
Right. I took some baseline physics classes, and it kind of threw me off a little bit. I won't say any otherwise. Hail KC Charlie Chats. How you doing? So, what are your personal feelings on the theory of evolution, that we came from base animals on life? And of course, I'm throwing this out there for the chat and everyone else watching. There's no judgment on this shit. No matter what anybody says, there's no judgment. You judge anybody and you start attacking them over anything that they say, I'll fucking boot you. I don't care how much I love you. I'll fucking boot you. Anyway, what are your personal thoughts on evolution? Elagabalus.
Oh, well, I think it's I think it's established as a theory, isn't it?
Partially. They're missing some links.
Oh, yeah, hundreds of
Boosh says
millions
you're
of
wrong.
links, if not billions of missing links.
I typically am Boosh.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem accepting evolution. For me, it's a question of, well, is it by chance or is it by design?
That's fair. That's fair, because on the other side of the coin, we'll talk about that in a second. Hey, Jeremy, what's your feelings on evolution? Did you come from a monkey, or have you just been ugly all your life?
Well, yes, on both. No,
There you go. I love my brother, and I love the different shit. It's great.
I agree with if it is an actual thing, it has to be by design. I mean, everything is just too perfectly planned out, you know, even down to the genomes that we have in our bodies, man. It's all just perfectly like 1 in 10 infinite numbers
Yeah.
of possibilities.
I agree. Is that a kitty? That's a kitty.
Just have to make room for. Come on.
There's a kitty there. So I agree, actually, that evolution would be designed. The way I look at it is, if there's a creator out there that's intelligent enough to design everything that we see, regardless of the manner he used to bring us into existence, then he would be smart enough to make things evolve. And for the base definition of evolution, it's to become more complex. That's the simplest definition of evolution that you can find, is to become more complex. And we as people do that all the time. I mean, look at how complicated it is for single people to find a date. I mean, you got to practically pull a Crocodile Dundee. You got to practically pull a Crocodile Dundee and just reach under there and be like, that's a dude. But
Jesus.
Well, I'm just saying.
You're not wrong.
But we as human beings often become more and more complex as we go in social ways and mental processes. We've seen it. We were banging rocks together, and now we can fly around the world in less than a day. The G-forces will kill you most of the time, but it's a great time. Do it. But it has to be an intelligent design, because there's too many small things that have to be just right in order for things to work at all. And
yet, as we evolve culturally, I imagine over time, physically, there's still the the whole thing of the law of entropy, that inevitably things collapse on almost every scale, on every level. And so that's sort of a paradox, I think, as well. I mean, no matter how much I learn, how much I try to improve myself, whether it's by reading or learning or eating well, I'm still going to die.
Right.
Sooner,
And
you know, I'm not going to make it to 100, and most of us are not going to.
well, and see, that's actually a very important philosophical realm that a lot of people have struggled with over the years. Is when I die, uh, it's going to be a big deal. Um, will I know enough by the time I move on to be able to pass peacefully, et cetera, et cetera? Will I have finished enough of this? And what most people don't realize is, you know, um, what you're leaving behind doesn't matter. And what comes after probably doesn't matter that much either. Death is one of the most natural parts of life that we need to deal with. And depending on your personal view on what our existence is, you either go back to nothing, your energy is dissipated into the earth, and so on and so forth, or you go on to meet judgment of some kind, depending on your various beliefs. Sure, some people are like, when you die, it's nothing. Nothing happens. You're gone.
Black into the void.
Yeah, and it's
Earth.
all like, well, I hope you have fun with that. Gosh. But, how important do you think it is to the human race to have some theory of our existence be greater than us? Because evolution puts us at the top, if you will. And how important do you think it is that our existence has something higher than human beings?
Incredibly important.
Want me to go first?
Yes, please.
I was actually thinking about this last night. In terms of humans, we exist. I think we exist to learn. We exist to procreate, and we exist to teach. I think those are three fundamentals that not only apply to us, but apply to mammals, reptiles, not to the same degree as humanity. But I was born, I learned how to take care of myself. I took care of my parents when they needed my help. I didn't have children, but I tried to instruct students, friends to the best of my ability. And I felt that I've made a contribution. And I'm happy with that contribution. I would like to contribute more, but I'm at that point where I'm happy. I'm ready. I'm not afraid of death. It's going to happen. I don't know.
Eventually.
I don't know what it's going to be like. I don't know if the soul dies with the body, if it transcends whatever we think of as reality. It's fun to think about it, but I'm not going to worry about it either.
No. And see, death is something that you should never fear nor rush towards. If it's your time to go, it's your time to go. Don't be in a rush to get there, and try to enjoy the time that you have.
Right.
I'm not even 35, but I feel like I've learned that lesson plenty hard in my life. When you don't take the time to enjoy things, suddenly they're gone, and you feel like shit. So make sure you enjoy the things that you have in your life. And the thing about existence, from my perspective, is that we only have both the collective existence, both of which need to be nurtured and properly curated towards being what I will define as a good person. And what a good person is, in my mind, in our existence as we see it these days, is a person who has compassion, but it isn't ignorant compassion. It's compassion because suffering is morally wrong, but it's not compassion to the point that it makes you a puppet. That's about emotional control. And then it's about a good person also has ration in their toolbox. They have a rational mind, period. They can actually look at something objectively, even if it's a very emotional time, and be able to deal with it in what is best suited for the situation. And that person recognizes that usually what's best suited for the situation is the concept of do no harm. Non-maleficence or beneficence is are the two best practices that you can have. Do no harm and try to do good as much as possible. There's a lot of snakes in the grass.
Yeah, well,
sorry, Bush McFadden's saying things about pooping, and it's distracting the fuck out of me here.
Well, I took 3 months off from YouTube just because it was in my best interest to do so.
Yes, indeed. And if you don't take care of yourself, it doesn't matter what your purpose on this world is. You're not going to be good to anyone, because you need to take care of yourself, and you need to take breaks when you feel the need. Like when you're starting to feel overwhelmed, you need to step away. That's what a lot of people don't understand. That's why work crushes so many people's souls. They're like, I used to love this. And it's like, that's because your entire outlook on it has changed and you haven't taken a break to actually reevaluate things. You need to find what makes you happy. I'm starring that one too. Oh, yeah. There's some good. I've got 3 messages starred so far for some fun times later. But anyway, someone said something earlier. I think it was. This one is actually Small Time Republic. He says it would be cruel for us to be able to have the concept of an afterlife and there not be one.
I completely agree. You know how messed up that would be?
I would agree, but I would like everyone to keep in mind that the universe, nature, and everything in it, and all the rules and laws that it has are cruel because it is indifferent towards all things. So do not worry about whether it is there, and do not worry about the cruelty of it. Simply take your life in stride and keep a hold of your concepts until you have confirmation.
Or it's the idea too of whose afterlife exactly.
Exactly. So many different concepts of the afterlife play into existence as a whole. And the afterlife is a complicated thing for a lot of people.
Yeah, I just delving into what the early Greek philosophers thought about life and existence. You mentioned a number of them. You know, doing good, trying to contribute, questioning, and sometimes questioning. Sometimes you question norms. Sometimes those questions make people unhappy. But that's part of living, is to engage in rational debate, trying to come to some sort of understanding that improves us rather than just entraps us in a meaningless existence.
I agree. And Bush McFadden says here that he doesn't agree you need to live your life as if there is one, as if there is something at the end of the rainbow and if there is an afterlife. Now, Bush, I agree with you. You should live your life as if there is a purpose to the end of it. There is a purpose after it. But I don't think you should spend all of your time focusing on those things. And you can't spend all of your time worrying about it. Because if you're living a good life, you'll know it. As far as, like, you'll know on the inside that you're a good person. You'll have moments of doubt. But it will be evident to you and the people around you. It'll be evident to you from the people around you. And if you have to aim yourself at an afterlife that's higher purpose than what we live in these daily lives, then do it. If that gives your life meaning, then please chase it. Absolutely. I agree that you should live like there is an afterlife worth achieving, but it is not something that you need to burden yourself with the thought of on a constant basis. So I'm going to get to these star chats now.
You do
because
not
these
need
are
to be Atlas carrying the world.
No. As Ayn Rand said in the book, if you came across Atlas sweating and bleeding from his task, what would you do? And the guy simply replied, I'd tell him to shrug. And since you're not Atlas, you can shrug some of that weight. I've been doing it for years. Trust me. So, Bush McFadden, I love this man. God creates dinosaurs. God kills dinosaurs. God creates man. Man kills God. Man creates dinosaurs. Dinosaurs eat man. Woman inherits the earth. What movie is that from?
Jurassic Park.
Thank you. God. No reaction, just stone face, just like dead stare from Germ over here with the like bulging eyes and stuff. Like I couldn't tell how he was reacting. Like, so disappointed.
It's a good reference. I mean, a good quote.
Don't remember that reference at all, but it sounds great.
It's when they're on the way to one of the paddocks in the first Jurassic Park movie. Ellie Sadler is talking about it. That was her line right there.
Yeah. So Casey Charlie Chat says, I ain't afraid of dying. It's the thought of being dead. And see, it's the worry about what comes after. Go check out the first episode of Dark Philosophy where we talk about the fear of death. It's really all about what comes after that people are afraid of, not actual death itself.
Hey, Mrs. Flew just scolded me. She said Jurassic Park, so
yes,
I feel included.
Hail, Mrs. Hi, Mrs. Flew. Good to see you. I hope you're beating your husband regularly. I am not advocating violence. She beats him with meat.
Steak.
She beats him with meat, and don't worry, it's usually dry meat, dry old meat, and she's just like, take it like a good bitch. We're 42 minutes in. I'll say whatever the fuck I want.
You're gonna wish that clipping option was never invented.
Jerky on hand. I just deserve it, Sir Toxalot. You sometimes do, Toxic Man Flu, and sometimes we just deserve a good show. That's the audio equivalent of going to the arena and seeing the same game play out every time, where you get viciously beat by meat. It's a change of pace where you're not beating the meat. What?
I said, at what point do you think he starts enjoying it?
From the first time it happened, he was like, oh, yeah. Yep.
I'm speechless.
Incoming. Incoming. She always screams that when she throws it at him. It's my favorite. I love Mrs. Flew. She's great. You don't deserve her, Toxic Man Flew. Treat her like a queen.
Oh.
Wow. Yep. Yeah, wow. He said, wow. Casey said, spicy. It's spicy shrimp. Mm-hmm. So, this has been a fantastic discussion about existence. And it's a heavy discussion to have in an hour. And we fit most of it into 45 seconds. Or 45 minutes, I should say. 45 seconds. Ha-ha! 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 Hey, yo, my Rocky Mountain High is wearing off. So, what can I say? It's causing a little slowdown. But, Elagabalus, thank you for joining us tonight. It's been a fantastic time having you on tonight, sir. You are an incredibly wise individual, and I love your views on things. Thanks for having me.
I just wish I could contribute more. Next season, if you do things about history and archaeology, please, I'll be the first in line.
Absolutely. I will actually look for some interesting topics for when we start back up that are specifically focused on things like that, old school ways of life and stuff like that. Because it all ties into philosophy. Because as philosophy
Right.
has changed, so has society. As society has changed, so does philosophy. And no, Boosh, we're not done yet. We're just not discussing existence anymore. We're done with the discussion. So
Yeah,
just calm down.
Toxic
We've
kind of.
yeah, we've still got a few minutes left, somewhere around 15 minutes. So you guys can just chill. We're gonna have a fun discussion about other things, like the fact that we are not having we're not continuing to do these. This is the second to last episode, okay? So next week, Jeremy and I will discuss a topic for us to discuss with Drew Supreme Heretic. It will not be any of the things that we've presented here before. It will be a completely original discussion, and we will have a fantastic time doing it. But me and Jeremy have to put our heads together and come up with that. So stay tuned for that. Woman, come here. We've got 15 minutes. Yes. And he says, "No, I want more." Well, there is always
I
the
got more for
possibility.
you. Don't worry.
There's always the possibility that we can make the season finale of Dark Philosophy a couple hours long. Guys, I just usually don't like to do that. I'm still addicted to hour-long TV shows, so I like to do that for my fans and my
Has the new
viewers.
season of Reacher come out yet?
Not yet. I'm still waiting. I'm waiting like a fucking crack addict for that show, dude. That was so good. Man, did you see Reacher, Elagabalus? If not, that's fine.
I'm a pop culture idiot. I do not keep track.
That's totally fine. That's totally cool. It was one of the strongest entries that Amazon threw in for I'm the best streaming service. So
I heard
so far,
I heard that Stallone.
Oh yeah, the
trailer
Sentinel, or
dropped,
it's
that
not
looks
the
good.
Sentinel. Why am I
Stallone has a
Samaritan? Yeah, the Samaritan. It's a movie coming out. He's a retired. Stallone plays a retired superhero who gets discovered out as being a superhero and is not forced, but chooses to return to duty. And it actually looks pretty fucking good.
Hell yeah!
Like,
Check it out.
Oh yeah. Casey Charlie Sat says 38 minutes or so with advertising. Well, yeah, depending on the advertising that we used to get. I've been watching A-Team for the first time ever, the TV show from back in the 80s.
Oh,
and
nice.
And some of those episodes are like 38 minutes long. Some of them are 45. Some of them are like, and I'm like, damn, those ads really do cut into the show. I wonder what they cut out of those shows. But anyway.
Probably quite a bit.
Oh yeah, I can guarantee it. I never hear anybody complaining about Hannibal doing blackface or anything like that. So ain't nobody going to come up against the A-Team. They got their token black guy and everything. So
yeah. Well, I was the few series that I've watched on Prime that go back to the 60s and 70s, if they were an hour long, they were actually 50 minutes without commercials. And I think today you're lucky if you have 35 minutes of content.
This is true. And it's because the philosophy of entertainment has changed. It's not about entertainment.
It's about
It's
how
about
push into there.
Yeah, like ad revenue and hooking the message. That's what entertainment's philosophy is these days. It used to be provide art for the masses. That was the whole philosophy. And now it's provide art with our asses.
Mm-hmm.
So super duper.
And one thing I don't miss, I haven't watched network television in years, but
right.
I think the laugh track is extinct, is it not?
Yes, very much so.
It is actually extinct finally. I think
Have
it
you-
was right around the time it was revealed that most of the laugh tracks have been used since like the 30s or since like the 40s or 50s, and that means most of the people laughing are dead. So
Yeah, actually, my son and I started rewatching the old '60s Scooby Doo. Where are you?
yeah,
You know,
the
the late
laugh
'60s
tracks.
one. Yeah, and
Mhm.
it has all of the same. Like you hear the same laugh tracks, even in like that '70s show. It's
Yep.
the same laugh tracks.
It is.
Well, if you
I
ever
actually thought about doing that once because they're technically public domain.
if you ever had the chance to watch, say, an early episode of MASH, and you have the option to turn off the laugh track, you have some really awkward pauses
Yeah.
between speakers, because there's a second delay where they just make room for the laugh track. And I'm sure you
Yeah.
could shave at least a minute off of each episode and make it flow a little more
Well,
smoothly.
Maybe that's why they are 45 minutes now instead of 50, because they don't have to do all those pauses for shit, you know? They cut out
That's-
5 whole minutes so they could squeeze in like 3 more ads.
That's true. That's true.
You know? When you could have written 3 more minutes of dialogue for the characters. Because, guys, 3 pages is not that much.
Their message doesn't have that much to it, so
You're not wrong. Small Time Republic, he says, it's like the Wilhelm scream that has been used many times over.
yeah.
It is the single most used scream in history. So,
Used today for irony, I believe.
yeah, probably. I actually have the Wilhelm scream downloaded. If I had a soundboard, I would play that all the time, just out of nowhere. I'm like, where's the beef? I don't know.
So is it?
I got your
is it,
beef.
is it fair to say, because I don't watch TV, is we had a golden age, I guess, or a rebirth of good TV around the knots, and is that gone? Is that dead?
It was more of like, they, like when you look at a stock chart, how it goes like, yay, plateau, slight dip, yay, crash. Like that's kind of what happened around that time. We had the slight like peak where we were like, we're gonna win in the entertainment wars, and then it was just all like, oh, never mind. Disney bought everything. Shit.
I hate.
Well,
I remember
Disney sucks so bad.
it's because their business philosophies are flawed.
Well,
Just saying.
I think the one camera works. I think it's just so superior to a studio audience.
Yep.
And the 3 camera format, it's antiquated, it's dated, I don't think it works. I don't think it's necessary. Of course, from watching Friday Night Tights, not a lot has been produced that's watchable the past 5 years.
I would agree with that completely.
You're not wrong. And a lot of the things that have come out in the last 5 years, if they do have viewing value, it's a first view value only.
Mm-hmm.
It's one time to say that you've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
And we are like, all the replay value is still back in like, back when I was born, pretty much. Like all the movies that came out like first decade of my life are all of the ones that have the highest replay value, until you get to holidays where it's stuff that was made back in like the 50s, and like black and white TV where you're like, oh man, here come the 3 ghosts of Christmas. Yay.
I'm going to bring this back to existence. I mean, I always thought Hollywood produced movies and television shows to entertain primarily. There were always going to be cultural and political subtext, but ultimately the idea was to entertain, because then you made money and you could continue churning out product.
Mm-hmm.
From what I understand, it's just been weaponized to the point where YouTube reigns supreme. Networks are dying. there are hundreds and hundreds of channels out there, all producing mediocrity.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm missing anything.
You're not. Absolutely not.
Good night, No Green Rocks. Have fun on midweek hump over there.
Man, my thing is like you got all this entertainment stuff that's just filled with all these Marxists and stuff that, oh, we hate America, we hate America. Dude, America's the only reason you have the industry you have. Shut the fuck up and get back to work.
Well, and that's also because, to keep this in the realm of philosophy, we took what was originally the best of a lot of different philosophies and utilized them under the guise of Christian principles. A lot of people have issue with me saying something like that, but the United States of America was built on Christian principles, and it implemented a lot of philosophies about life and stuff from other cultures. But ultimately, the Christian kindness that actually existed back in the day is what drove the country to be great. That also allowed us a lot of freedom to innovate, which we don't do anymore because our philosophies changed on what we want. We changed from a society of producers and innovators to consumers. And that's nothing. We're nothing but consumers. All people do is consume. And that's a philosophy that destroys society.
I hate that term consumer. Like,
yeah. At this point, I'm going to call them consumers because a lot of the time people consume things on the same level that like bacteriophages consume things. They make contact, they absorb it, and then they move on for their next food
I get
source.
why it's a term.
So,
it's just, it's like the fact that we're to a point where we have to be considered consumers instead of customers is just absolutely ridiculous.
Yep. Well, see that my viewers are customers in a way. I'm not ever going to shake your hands, ladies and gentlemen, because honestly, that's a lot of traveling to make it all the way around the world. Shake your hands at your front door. That's a lot. So nice to meet you. But like, let's be real. The philosophy of everything changed from being customers, us having customers where we treat them with a certain level of dignity and respect, to being consumers who are people here to take shit from us and go away. But at the same time, the customer mindset became very privileged. The philosophy of buying things in a capitalistic market became the only soul consuming thought of the customer is always right. And we as people expect too much of everyone all the fucking time. So, the fact that they turned us into consumers by playing off of our inherent greed and our inherent need for service was a voluntary action on the part of humanity in the Western society. That's my 2 cents on it.
I was just noticing what Miss Flu said here.
We can all still be kind. Yes.
I mean, we were raised on that. Everything in kindness. Kill them with kindness.
Yeah, right? It kind of bounced off me, if we're being honest.
And it stuck a little too well with me.
Yeah, a little bit. He's a people pleaser.
Well, that's why I enjoy the streams that I watch. I feel that oftentimes the chat is a reflection of the principles that are held by the panelists. The chat can be funny, it can be sarcastic, but it's never mean. It's never mean-spirited. At least
intent is everything.
And the most exciting thing that you'll see on a chat like this or comics will be the sex bot.
Right.
And that's deleted within usually 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
It's a place that you
live cans
where like-minded people can talk and can disagree, but it's never personal.
Indeed. And that's the beauty of our community. We are individuals who have differing beliefs in a lot of different ways, but we can come together and still have a rational conversation. And most of the time, most of the troll dicks stay out of it. If I ever get big enough, I'm sure I'll have trolls, and I feel sorry for them because I have lasso of truth over here, ready to just absolutely decimate some motherfuckers.
Yeah, but if we're gonna, I mean, the troll wants to come and fuck around with you. I mean, you're like the
Dude,
biggest troll I've ever.
You should have seen. Yeah, this is true. You should have seen the response I got on Twitter. Like, this guy called me a clout chaser, and it was like it blew up all over the place, and all these people came out of the woodworks, and I was like, wow. And I'm like, I'm waiting for people to start trolling me on YouTube and being like, this, and that. And I'm like, it's never going to happen because they know I'm going to just step on their nuts. And once again, stomp the groin. You know, like, it's plain and simple. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it is the hour past. So we're going to keep moving. I've got some stuff I want to go do, like regain some Rocky Mountain high. And yeah, I'm very glad that we had this conversation with Elagabalus. I've been wanting him back on the show or on the channel for a while because he's a great person to have a conversation with. And in the future, he will definitely be back in season 2 of Dark Philosophy, where we will have a bunch of new topics and a new content and all kinds of new fun stuff.
We should talk about like Egypt or the Aztecs or something next time.
We can totally talk about those kinds of things. Absolutely. Elagabalus, go ahead and you can send me a list of your favorite archaeological topics, and I'll actually do some research, and we can talk about that kind of stuff if you want, or whatever.
That would be great.
I am hoping to get it more structured out, so when my guests come on, we have a either planned topic or a really fun set of topics. I will keep doing the viewer vote segment next season. We are going to change that up just a little bit. But we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, everybody, thank you for joining us. Gentlemen, say your goodbyes.
Goodbye, all. It was great seeing you. I love reading the chats. You're all freaking hilarious, and I love it.
Hell yeah, best chat on YouTube.
Yes, thank you. I had a great time as well.
Yes, and I'm glad that you could come and join us, and it was fantastic. And ladies and gentlemen, stay sexy, don't get murdered, and have a wonderful time. Bye.
Bye.